I hate to say I told you so, but you guys know that I'm someone who has always been critical of Activision and also Microsoft, saying, like, just because Microsoft's buying Activision doesn't mean everything's suddenly going to change and it's going to be so much better for the Call of Duty series and, all these positive changes are going to be made. I was very skeptical about the prospect of a trillion-dollar company being able to reform a multi-billion-dollar company and be less greedy and more towards the consumer. I just didn't see how that was going to come into fruition. And yes, I feel a lot of vindication right now. I'm not necessarily happy or gloating because it's fucked up all the hard work that those mod creators put in. And if you guys are not aware, there was a mod for Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer because they remastered Modern Warfare 2 years ago. I think it was 2019 or 2020. But they decided not to put the multiplayer in because they knew if they did that, then everyone would pretty much go to Modern Warfare 2 because it's so much more fun and a lot better than any of the recent Call of Duty games that have come out. So they didn't want that to take away from the $70 microtransaction game, so they purposefully had it single player only. So the modders were like, okay, we're going to do it in a way that everyone should be happy. Activision shouldn't have any problem with us because we're requiring you to buy Modern Warfare Remastered, meaning the Call of Duty 4 Remaster, because that's what the multiplayer mod for Modern Warfare 2 is based off of. And yeah, it's just a shame that, all that is pretty much just gone. It was actually 3 hours before it was supposed to go live and come out, which is insane to me. That they waited. So, like, it was just, like, a scummy move, because they could have months ago said, because I've seen them, they've announced this, like, as soon as the the campaign remastered came out. So, for 4 years, this mod has been worked on, and there have been public gameplay and announcements and that kind of stuff. So, it's been on Activision's radar. But they decided the day of the launch of the mod, they're like, we're shutting this shit down. Fucking crazy. But you need to be reminded, this is not just Activision now, this is also Microsoft. Microsoft has taken full control of Activision. They have been in control for at least 6 months, if not longer, because there was a process for the purchase to go through. It took some time to get approved. I think it was like October, November, and they officially assumed control, I think actually before the beginning of this year. So they've been there for a while, so you can't even say, oh, but they just got Activision, so it's not Microsoft's fault, even though they own them and they're in control of everything now. They literally own Activision, because I've seen some people online trying to deflect blame from Microsoft and Phil Spencer, saying, oh, but this is just greedy Activision, and it has nothing to do with Microsoft. Fanboys are going to fanboy and are going to defend and justify anything that their favorite corporation does. It's crazy the amount of dick riding that people have for these large companies that don't do anything for them. Like, okay, cool, you like their games and you're a fan of their products, but you gotta, like, when they do things that are not in your best interest, when they price gouge, when they fill you in with microtransactions, do all these crazy things to just try to squeeze out every penny out of you. And, times are tough right now, and video games are, like, supposed to be an escape from all the bullshit in the real world, but there's a lot of bullshit going on with video games, and it's been going on. It's been a downward slope probably over the past 15 years, if we're going to be honest, as far as, the way that these companies are behaving and the disrespect that they're giving towards their consumers, the people that are literally the reason why they can afford their expensive yachts and their 20 million, their fucking, all their fucking supercars they have in their garage. Like, it's just, it's sad. It really is sad that it's come to that. But yeah, I mean, if you go back, I'll even link some videos in the description in case you guys think, oh, I'm just like someone who is just saying that I was critical of them back then. Because everybody was like fucking praising Microsoft and saying it was the greatest thing ever that they were buying Activision. There was little to no negative coverage surrounding the acquisition. But I've made several videos saying, guys, like, how do you guys think this is going to be good in the long term? Microsoft is not this altruistic company that is always doing great things for people. Phil Spencer is a charismatic figure, and he is someone who has a lot of goodwill in the gaming community, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do business in a more ethical way. I mean, the whole point is for Game Pass, right? And they're trying to build that network up, but if everyone's just playing the old games and are not interacting at all because they're afraid, because they got Black Ops 6 coming out in, what, 2 months? Maybe 3? I don't know the exact date. I think it's October. I don't even know. I have no interest in Call of Duty or playing it. I was going to do Call of Duty gameplay for this video, but I'm like, I don't give enough of a fuck. I'm not going. I'm sorry, I just don't. You know, I'm not going to pretend like I do. That's why my Mr. NoobTube Gamer channel, you know, I'm not really into FPS games at all. So that channel is currently on hiatus. I plan on doing some cool things with that next year, but for now, it's on pause. But I still don't think these boycotts are going to do anything. People are going to buy these games anyway. I mean, people have been complaining about the shit they've been doing for years and years and years and years and years. It feels like a broken record now. But the games keep selling. They still make billions upon billions of dollars every year. I don't think this situation is going to change it, because your average Call of Duty player isn't even on PC. This is like the PC COD community specifically, which is a very, very small enclave of the Call of Duty community at large. Call of Duty's never, it hasn't been that big on PC. I guess now it kind of is by default because you have crossplay. But if you go back to like any of the old Call of Duty games and try to play them, play it on the PlayStation 3 compared to the PC. The PS3 version has a lot more players because PC COD just hasn't been very relevant, I would say, probably since the original Modern Warfare 2 in 2009, but they got the thing where, like, they're like, yeah, we're not going to fix it and update it, we got all these hackers everywhere, so yeah, people are trying to be able to play it safely, but they don't want you to. You know, they'll keep the servers online to, you know, to make it seem like, oh, they're not like completely evil and so heartless that they'll shut the games down entirely, but they're effectively having them shut down by not fixing it and updating the security and all that shit. Because, yeah, I had some funky shit happening to me when I was trying to play Modern Warfare 2 on PC years ago. I like, lost complete control over my computer. Nothing was downloaded, but I was like, I just shut my PC down before anything. Yeah, it was some scary shit. It was some really scary shit. So do not attempt to play Modern Warfare 2 on PC or any of the old Call of Duty games, for that matter. Even Modern Warfare Remastered on PC, that came out in 2016, has a lot of problems. Infinite Warfare, not that anyone's looking to play Infinite Warfare, but that game's also got a lot of security exploits. Like, pretty much every single one, except for, like, Modern Warfare 2019 and beyond, but those games, like, are so horrible, from Modern Warfare 2019 to the new Modern Warfare 3, the last 5 years of COD history. So people are looking for alternatives. They still love Call of Duty, but they're looking for shit. They're looking for mods. They're looking for ways to, you know, kind of bring back that nostalgic feeling and to reinvigorate their love for the series. But Activision's like, fuck you. We're not going to allow this to happen because it hurts our bottom line. Not just Activision, Microsoft, because they are the owners of Activision. And I didn't expect anything different. I've also said, you know, in those videos about me not liking this, is that it's just going to pretty much cause the quality of the series, even like if we're just talking about new entries also, it's going to go down, because we go from paying $70 to it being part of your Game Pass subscription. And I said, you know, they're going to have to drastically increase the price of Game Pass, or they're going to have to cut corners, or they're going to do a little bit of both. And they already jacked up the Game Pass price. I think it's like 33% higher than it was a year ago. They jacked it up so much. It's so much more expensive. And yeah, I think, you know, when you have less people buying the game because they're paying a subscription for it, you're not going to get as much money. You're going to lean more heavily into microtransactions, obviously, so the money will still come in that way, but the actual money coming in from the individual game sale is going to be severely diminished because of Game Pass being available on PC and Xbox, which is a huge chunk of the Call of Duty sales. And I think that it's going to cause, even, you know, if there's a perception of negative perception about how low quality Call of Duty is these days, it's going to be amplified even more for years to come, because they're going to have to cut corners with the Game Pass subscription model. We see what's happening with the TV and movie industry. Like, just the bubble has burst. Streaming and all that shit is not as great as it's cracked up to be. Not that I'm advocating for paying, like, you know, as far as TV concerned, I don't want to bring back cable or anything like that. I think that ship has sailed, but, you know, all these shows getting canceled, budgets being cut, like House of the Dragon, that whole recent thing, if you know, you know. Oh, God, worst season finale ever seen in any TV show, by the way. Holy shit, that was horrible. But that was a cost-cutting measure. That was a way to, you know, reduce the quality, but, you know, to reduce costs as a way because a lot of these companies are in debt. Streaming is costing a lot of money. It's not as sustainable as people believe. And with video games, that's even like tenfold that, because TV shows and movies are expensive to produce, but video games are even more than that, like way more. And anyone knows that who is familiar with video game development and how all that shit goes. It sucks, and it's just we're in such a dark place in the video game industry, and I just kind of like shut myself down and go back and play the old games. Like, I've been having a lot of fun with Dragon Age Origins, which is the gameplay that you see in this video, because, you know, it's one of my comfort games. It's actually one of my favorite video games of all time. Definitely the best RPG I've ever played. It's not even close. I definitely recommend you play it. I don't think it's on sale anymore, but it might be. So check on Steam. Get the PC version for sure. It's so much better, because I played it originally on Xbox. PC is just like, whew, whole other level with that game. And also with the new Dragon Age coming out, like, I'm trying to do like a whole run through the entire series one more time before I play the new game. Hopefully that turns out good. EA, you know, like, we got to give credit. You know, just on a, like, it is kind of connected to this topic of Activision, because Activision is engaging in very bad and scummy behavior right now, right? And while we don't know, like, as far as Dragon Age the Veilguard is concerned, we don't know how that game is actually going to turn out, but I think good behavior should be rewarded and should be commended, even regardless of the motivation, because EA, you know, they've committed to it being single player only, no microtransactions. You don't have to use the EA third-party launcher anymore. You can just play it straight through Steam. So they're doing, like, everything right here. Whether or not the game is actually good is whatever, but as far as monetization is concerned, they deserve a lot of goodwill for what they're doing with that game. So I think, you know, we should always commend, even, you know, with CD Projekt Red, the whole disaster with Cyberpunk, they should be commended for fixing it, you know, for doing all that stuff. Because some people are like, well, they broke it, and they should never be forgiven. Like, I think, you know, we should be pragmatic with a lot of these things. We should be like, okay, this company is doing great, and we should give them our business to support it. Because if you're not, then what reason do they even have to try to be, like, pro-consumer and do things that benefit us and make us happy if we're gonna be angry anyway, you know what I mean? But in this case, I don't know if they're review bombs, because they're review bombing everything on Steam, every single Call of Duty game, and there's a huge outcry and outrage going on. They're just gonna stay quiet, I think. I don't think they're gonna say shit, and they're just gonna, you know, keep their heads down and hope this passes. I don't think this is, like, if we're gonna be realistic, let's have an honest conversation. Is this gonna hurt Black Ops 6? Absolutely fucking not. And I think, you know, their fear of it hurting Black Ops 6 more to allow this mod to continue to exist probably has some merit to it, because, you know, like I said, we're just a couple months away from Black Ops 6 coming out, and you have, like, literally the most beloved Call of Duty game of all time being reinvigorated and, like, having a huge influx of new players. You think people who are enjoying Modern Warfare 2, like, if this mod came out, would be rushing to get Black Ops 6? Probably not. So there's a method to the madness, and they figure, you know, Call of Duty is so big that it's not going to matter, like, if we piss people off, especially since what I mentioned earlier, most of the Call of Duty players are not PC anyway, so it's probably not going to do any damage to them. Is, you know, as shitty as it is, that's just the reality of it. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but this is exactly what I knew was going to happen. Nothing was going to change for the positive. I've been talking about this for years and years and years and years and years, and most of those videos I made were bombed with dislikes and people saying, you're just a hater, you're just a Microsoft hater, you need to accept, you know, like you need to just be happy and all that shit. Well, it's blowing up in everyone's face. Everyone who has been talking about, who's been praising, you know, a giant corporation swallowing up another giant corporation and talking about how it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Well, we're not even that far into the acquisition. It's already proven to be a complete disaster and not a good thing.